Thorin, it's barely 2 days after Heston Hrafnkel, the Jarl of Strond, has died, and the bickering has already started. He had no legitimate heirs and no clear successor, and his wife is a bit of a shrew and she's unable to keep order. He has a lot of bastards, and a lot of those served him, but some of them kind of wandered far and wide, and now they're all coming out of the woodwork and they're claiming rulership of this place. But they're illegitimate, and so many of the Huskarls who have served him for many, many years are also sort of trying to move their way in. You're in Hestefeld, which is one of the towns, the big town in which the Jarl lived. You're drinking with some of the warriors that you spent well over a decade serving with. And Hogan, this blonde man with a ragged scar across his face from an Iskolfin axe, you can remember it clearly. He shakes his head and scratches the back of his head and flicks a louse away. It's not good here. 6 bastard sons and 2 daughters all scrabbling for the old raven's riches. And there's this man sits opposite him, Logir. He's a Gunlander who's had once red hair, but it's starting to get flecked with grey. And he nods and he says, "We'd best be leaving, I reckon." And they kind of look to you.
Thorin kind of scratches her own neck, the itching having set her off. I heard rumor that Skjalmod been made a Jarl of someplace down in Asplot.
Huh. Maybe all that ass kissing paid off.
He was always one for a brown nose, that's for sure.
Asplot, huh? It's far.
Better than here.
Logir kind of shakes his head. I don't know. I might just go back to my farm. I think my shield wall days are done. And you can tell he's old. He's probably in his 50s, which is really pushing past the time when you can be in the shield wall.
You could go back to your farm, sure, but now you know a Jarl. You know a Jarl that you served with. Maybe it'd give you a bigger farm.
Lots of nice land in Asplot. I know that. Rolling hills, streams, forests. What they say.
Meat's not as good, but can't have everything.
Is that where you're going to go?
I think it is.
He takes this big slug of his mead horn. There's 4 of you sitting at this table, all kind of older warriors who had been close with Heston, the Jarl. And you can see that in the tavern that you're in, you can see 2 of those bastards of Heston. There's Heston Hrafni, who's called the Little Raven, who's his oldest bastard. He sits at a table with a bunch of his men, and he's staring across the inn at another one of the bastards, Einar Bjornkel, who wears this bear skin, and he's glaring over, and there's obviously ill feeling between the 2 of them. And there's this uneasy quiet in the place. No songs are being sung and no poems are being spoken. It's sort of a smoldering quiet.
Thorin looks over at the 2 bastards. How long before they get into a pissing contest?
It's already started, I'd say, says Hogan. He looks around at the 2 of them and then back at the table. He seems to have this great interest in the knotwork of the table. He's spending a lot of his time not looking at other people in the bar and just looking at that. I reckon the sooner we leave, the better.
Well, don't drink yourself into a stupor tonight. We'll leave at dawn.
Hmm.
Seems easy enough.
And so on the next morning, you, Logir, Hogun, and their families will like pack up, and together you'll like get a boat over to Osbloth. Although you hear already, like as you come to the coast, that the bickering has reached a fever pitch in Hestefeld, and that a hall was burnt and several men killed. And so you probably think you're well off having left. Rothwitnesen, you are curled up in the branches of a tree, as you tend to do. It's how you're used to sleeping. You've drank of the mushroom tea, and you can see the countless rivers and streams of this place and the tides of it. And it looks like the veins inside a giant's body. This constant like pulsing and this like changing. Everything's shifting all the time. Nothing is permanent here. And like the enormity of this place and the teeming life everywhere, you can like hear every insect and frog and fish and everything. This insane, bountiful place. And as you kind of like look, noticing like the size of your hands and the insane detail of the fingerprints therein, something that you do every time you drink the mushroom tea, you can see down on one of the islands beneath you this strange thing. There's a wolf sitting on a small island below, and it like yawns and shows its fangs and tongue and looks up at you.
Yeah, Hrothwitnesen is going to like narrow his eyes down at the wolf, seeing it, matching its gaze. His eyes fall down to his chest, where the large Dunneral fang hangs around his neck. You could just like see literally every tiny crack in the bone of it. And then he's gonna kind of like grasp it in one hand, even to the point where a bit of blood is gonna kind of begin to pool in his palm from the point of it, and just kind of look at this wolf before kind of beginning to make his way down to get a closer look.
It's like sitting, and it like lies down and stretches and yawns, and then like looks up and sees you coming down the tree. It like begins to sniff and will stand. And it'll turn over its shoulder to look at you and say, "Follow."
Yeah, Hrothwitnesen will just understand almost implicitly this thing, this aspect, more so than creature of Odin, the one that he's pledged himself to. And just with hardly a blink in this state, he'll just nod and begin to stalk behind it.
It leads you through the swamp. It feels like you wander for hours through streams. You have to swim several times across these fallen trees, past these countless islands, and everything in insane detail, everything your eyes see clearer than they've ever seen before. And you can see birds up in a tree, and you understand the struggle of their day-to-day existence. You can hear them singing, and like the crude nature of that song, no longer like the beautiful tweeting that you usually hear. And all of it is made clear to you, and all of it is revealed to you, the nature of this place. And you can see like several times as you like walk through in your bare feet through the swamp and through the water, these like fish that will swim away quickly at your approach. And some of the big ones, those enormous catfish that will almost like approach curiously, and you'll like sense from them curiosity rather than fear.
As he moves, he has this strange sensation. On one hand, it feels like he's gone for miles and hours at a time, as if he's traveled the entire length of Asblot in a moment due to just this insane amount of perception that he's had. Yet at the same time, he feels stronger and more hardy than ever, as if he could walk another 10 lengths with no problem. And he feels the simultaneous pull of tiredness, of overwork, but yet strength to make it through. I'll just like feel these creatures coming and just know.
as you like stop for a moment to like examine this catfish that like swirls around your legs and like through them in this sort of strange figure of eight pattern, this huge thing like 7 feet long that like moves around, and you like stare down at that and wonder of the meaning. The wolf is gone, and you like search around, and then you can see like up in a branch, it sits and it says follow.
He looks down at the water, the catfish in this pattern, the ripples, each ripple in these circles, kind of as they hit branches and things, creating different symbols in the water itself, rune patterns existing all throughout nature, as if nature had constructed them of its own accord. He'll see the wolf remember the path and nod once more.
You'll like climb up this like fallen branch, this fallen tree rather, and then like down the other side, and you'll push your way through these insane shrubs. The wolf seems to be not bothered by anything. It walks through shrubs with no issue, but you have to pull them to the point your hands and forearms are bleeding and your feet are bleeding from like walking through all these insane pieces of wood and thorns. But eventually it leads you to this clearing, this place you've definitely never been before. You would remember. There's a stone jutting up out of the water, like 30 feet high into the air. And it's covered with moss and vines. And the wolf just walks up to the stone and looks at you and then walks into the stone and vanishes.
Normally, such things would be alarming, terrifying to see creatures talk and vanish into stone. But something about this world that he's entered, the tea that he's drank, it just makes it feel right, as if this entire situation had been constructed just for him to experience it and nothing less. And he will see this massive stone coming out of the water and the wolf inside of it and begin to approach.
Yeah, it's huge, like 30 feet high. You have to like swim across to it. There's deep water around it, but it's on a sort of natural island. It's definitely been placed there. There's no way this stone like naturally formed in this place. And the stone itself seems to be cut, like it's too clean and too angular to be natural. Though it's totally covered in moss and vines and things like that, so you cannot see what is on the actual stone.
Yeah, even just the detail that he sees in at this time, like each specific cut of the stone, like he can almost like hear the grinding and chiseling of the stone, as if it had been done right in front of him in this moment. But that is not enough to slate his curiosity, and he will approach these vines and start to like almost like claw at them, not unlike the wolf that had led them there.
Yeah, and you can do so, like reach up and pull down the vines and scrape off the moss. And you can see, like, as you pull away chunks, this image, the beautiful carving. There's a man's face. It's upside down, and you kind of like turn your head to the side like a wolf might do, or a dog that like tries to understand something. And you like begin pulling further and further. And as you kind of like clear enough of the space where you can't clear it all, it's too tall. But you can see the beginnings of an image of the All-Father hanging upside down from the World Tree. Ooh. Here we go. Pierced by a spear. And there's like this unbelievable detail to the carving.
It's going to take a second to admire the carving, seeing even greater detail than normal vision would allow. Every small mark, every curve, every line, every symbol, every image, in this like perfect detail. Even with heightened perception, it's still perfect, and it almost doesn't seem to make sense how it could be so perfect, even in such detail.
You can see like precious stones in there and gold as well, and some of the inlay. this image of the Allfather upside down, hanging from the World Tree, pierced by a spear. As you like leap up and like pull down more and more of this moss and the vines, you can see that both ravens, Hugin and Munin, are on there, and also a carving of Mimir, who is the giant who often gave Odin wisdom, and to whom Odin gave the eye to gain wisdom. And it's this really detailed thing, and as you like continue to pull down, you can see all of the runes are shown upon it, and yeah, this is obviously a sacred Odin stone.
Hrothvitnison is going to like look up upon this immaculate carving in awe, seeing all the runes, seeing the detail, the lore, everything about it. And he doesn't exactly know what inspires him to do so, but he's going to like climb up some of these vines so that he's like up on the stone if they'll hold his weight. He's going to tie them around his feet so that he hangs upside down. And he's going to take the Dunnerulf tooth that he holds and like close his eyes and mutter words to Odin and then pierce himself with the tooth.
Yeah, you do so. You like shove it into your chest, and there's like this blinding pain. But you're like granted this like feeling of overwhelming vision. Like you can see as if you like fly up into the air and see the whole fen, all of it. And like I had said earlier, like the veins of a giant, this like pulsing and the tides, everything. And you can see that strange portal that had been built where you had seen the troll. You can see that clearly for a moment, and you can see beyond this like stone with this strange thing carved upon it. Not this stone, a different one. This one is bigger and has an antlered man on the front of it, and a pool, like a basin in which there are dead bodies. And you like zoom around the fen all over, like seeing these different things in the villages and the people working. And you see Skjalvik, and you can see that Nucky is asleep and that someone with a knife in hand is crawling over his body. Nucky, you're awoken. Too late. There's somebody on top of you, and they have a blade in their hand. It's pressed against the underside of your chin. Don't make a sound or I'll fucking cut you.
Noki complies, but he does press the chin slightly onto the point to test its sharpness and opens one eye.
Sharp enough, you think, to cut a throat. It's Idis, one of the outlaws. She was one of the bear's sort of bed warmers frequently. She says, "The Lord, where does he hide his wealth? Underneath the hearth?"
You crawl into my bed and ask for a wealth. I thought the day you would crawl into my bed, you would ask for something else.
I'll fucking kill you. Scum, where's the wealth? I know what awaits me here. Need to get out of here. We all do.
So you steal a Jarl's wealth. How far do you think you'll go? And if I tell you, what of me?
I couldn't give a fuck what happens to you. How far will I get? No one can track a man in the swamp.
Are you sure about that?
Sure enough to try. Where is it?
Would I actually have a clue where he keeps his wealth?
I think you probably wouldn't know where he keeps the bulk of it. Yeah, it doesn't have any. But like, I think like it would be usual for Jarl to like bury it somewhere, like an emergency sort of stash. Traditionally, that's under the hearth, but because that's traditional, no one actually buries it there. So like, yeah, it really depends. But I think you know that he himself would have like arm rings and things like that. They would be like on his person though, or like next to his bed. You reckon?
No, called a bluff. Yeah, your guess was right. It is indeed the hearth it lies under. He's a very traditional Jarl, this one.
That'll be his downfall. And then she like raises the dagger and poof, brings it down on the bridge of your nose. Just lets a quick strike, and you pass into unconsciousness. Thorin, you've been traveling on this boat, this ship, and you've sailed across past Kincastellan, and now you like land on the coast. You can see this like mighty castle, and for a moment you get excited thinking that this might be Skjalmod's, and then the locals will tell you, no, that's Jarl Flokisson's castle. Skjalvik is that direction, and they like point, and you can see like these rolling hills that like roll down and beyond this like endless fen.
Thorin takes a moment and measures up the person who's telling her this information, trying to decide if they're serious. And upon determining they are, shakes her head and goes, "That? Is Jarl of that?"
Aye, deep inside, about 2 days from this side.
Inside?
Yes.
Aye, well, we've come this far. There are roads, I presume.
The man like smiles and laughs, and then realizes that you're serious. No, lady, no, there aren't.
How do we get the people there? You see, the men have their families.
You'll have to walk, lady, or maybe there's somebody there who can bring you on a boat.
Aye. Well.
If it's work you're looking for, there's a fine, rich Jarl here.
Nay. I'm for Skjalmod. At least for now.
Okay, well, pleasant journey. He goes back to like scrimshawing the fish bones that he has.
Thorin kind of readjusts her cloak and turns back to the others. Logan, what say you?
He like is pinching the bridge of his nose, and he like, looks around at this fine town, and he like looks beyond at like the hills that lead down to the fen, this seemingly infinite fen that you can like see from up high here. I suppose we came to see Skjalmod, so I suppose that's where we go. Though it is nice here, sea air, big castle, rolling farmlands.
Well, you could leave the women and the children here.
What will they do here without me?
Not for good, you daft man. While we go see Skjalmod.
We'll all go. I'm sure we can find a local to bring us.
Let's hope they have a boat. I can smell whatever's down there from here.
And so you walk. There are roads in this part of the world. You walk out of this town of Jarl Flokisson westwards until you kind of come to the edge of the fen, where you'll find like a small village, and somebody there is willing to like take you the rest of the way for a decent price.
Thorn grumbles a bit, but will chip in her part to pay for the guide.
Skjalmod, can you make me a perception check with disadvantage?
$12.
So you're kind of like rolling over in your sleep, and you kind of do that thing where you like open your eyes briefly, and you can feel something like a tugging. And as you like turn, you can see that there's like a girl there, maybe 18, 19. She's got her hand on the torque around your neck, and she's like pulling, and it like comes off, and then she runs.
I'll just call for the guards outside. Thief, thief. And I'll jump out of bed and run towards her.
Yeah, she like runs quickly. You can hear her like bare feet like padding. And like one of the guards will like turn to see and will like throw out an elbow and like catch her in the forehead with it, and she'll like onto the floor. And she'll like begin like rolling and crawling and come back to standing. And one of the guards will like heft his spear and will like look to you just for a second. Should he throw?
I'll just nod.
And he will. So he throws into the wall, and the thief is still running. The other guard will hit. So the spear just catches her in the shoulder and spins her around, and she hits the ground. The two guards will like run after and like leap on top of her and hold her in place.
I'll stride up quickly in my nightgown and reach down to take the pilfered torque and affix it to my neck before I walk towards her.
Yeah, she's like dazed and bleeding badly from like the spear that like grazed her right shoulder, like cut deeply into her shoulder, and it's bleeding onto the ground. You can see that she's like fighting against the guards who are like holding down. One of them's kneeling on her chest.
I'll just grab the butt of the spear and like twist it at an unholy angle to bring her to heel.
She comes to heel.
I'll command the guards to take her out into the square and hang her.
Yes, Lord. They'll like drag her out into the square. It's late. It's maybe 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. And they like will throw a rope around one of the what are they called? Like the arches on the cross beam, basically, of the house, of one of the houses, and tie the noose around her neck.
I'll just watch next to a torchbearer and see the thing done.
Yeah, they'll pull upwards, and she'll like dangle there, strangling, until a couple of dances later, she struggles no more.
This is the fate of oathbreakers who have had my benevolence and then betrayed me. I'll call for who I imagine is a great many of the household who have been alarmed and awakened and watched this thing.
The guards will like take the pack that she had, and they'll like pilfer through it, and they'll see like pieces of silver taken from various parts of the village. There's like an arm ring in there, and a great many other things that she would have like taken during the night. And then there's a call of alarm from inside your household.
I'll tell the guards with the knapsack of stuff to hold it in the treasury or something like that until the Woden's Day. I'll probably like speaking that when there is this cry of alarm. I'll pick up the spear that was thrown into the wall and rush towards the sound of that, calling some of the house guards with me.
You can hear one of the servant girls. She's calling for help, and you can see as you enter the room, Chilric has been stabbed under the rib cage, and he's like bleeding. I tried to fight her off, Jarl. I was asleep.
I'll drop the spear and rush to him and put pressure on the wound and call for help.
Yeah, people will come. There's no magical healers here. There are like wise people who will come and like will like not that's correct. Like keep pressure on it, and they'll like do some tests and like see if he can breathe without pain and things like that. It looks like it didn't hit a lung or a heart, at least, as he's still able to breathe and he's not dead yet. Though it's like deep and obviously painful.
Rest easy, scribe. I'll say, and that layer into the bed and get people to come with stuff to suture the wound and for some wine to be boiled to like splash it out.
She took my tablet, Lord, with all of the notes, the book.
It is okay. We've caught the thief. She is hung in the square.
Oh, good. Good.
And then I'll think. Sorry, just to interrupt you, but was that as part of the contents of that woman's bag?
Yeah.
Wax slate. Okay, cool.
Yep. So she seemingly just grabbed anything she thought would be valuable, and she probably wouldn't have a clue what that is, and that's why she thought it was valuable.
Yeah, I'll just tell Churlick to rest easy, not to trouble himself.
Yeah, he'll just like apologize for not doing better and then pass out from the pain.
I'll make a note to have more guards posted throughout the households.
Yeah, one of them reported to you that she obviously came in through a window. Like she didn't come in the front. So like maybe on the roof or like through a window or something like that into Chilric's room and then into yours.
It might be worth my time tomorrow to get some of the younger, more lither warriors to like climb up and try and climb into the windows to see how we can change the construct to prevent that from happening again.
Mm-hmm.
I'll make a note. I'll probably actually go to make a note to Julie, and then I realize.
Yeah.
And so I'll go over to his desk and like scribble down crude handwriting some notes. Probably stay up being unable to sleep and watch over Chorlick with some of the guards until morning. You said it was like 3 or 4 in the morning?
Yeah, yep.
Yeah, I don't think I would get back to sleep.
So the usual ritual of Chorlick waking you too early on Woden's Day is interrupted because you're already awake and Chorlick is asleep. Strange sort of turn of events. But there are people who are like gathered for the discussion and the adjudication that happens every Woden's Day. You would see, I think, Hrothvitnison like returning to town. He's just like covered in blood and like swamp muck, and like more so than usual, like all the way up to his eyes. Basically, he's like covered in like this film of like swamp insanity, and like he's bleeding from like a wound in his chest and like all over his arms and his feet.
Probably move quickly towards him. Gothi, are you well?
He would grin, actually. A rare sight for him. Yes, I'm well.
I think for
and
you,
I'll kind of like look down and see. Go ahead.
For you, Hrothvitnison, like you just realize where you are. I think like you've been walking, right? And then you've like arrived here, and now that somebody's spoken to you, you're like, oh, I am here. Like it's this bizarre sense of displacement, I think.
Yeah, he'll kind of like look around in surprise, like kind of noting where he is, and I imagine who he is. Like this feeling of like seeing everything and experiencing everything is like very dissociative. And he has to like kind of take a second to like hear his own name and be like, oh yes, that's me. I am that person that he is talking to right now. And he'll like look down and see the wound in his chest. causing the concern. Just as some give eyes or pierce for wisdom, so have I done, and so it has been given. There's no battle scratch, it's much greater things.
One of the men behind you, Lord Skander, will touch his amulet as the Gothi talks. He looks at the unusual state of him and is concerned.
Probably clutch for my own amulet.
Fear not the workings of the All-Father. It is through him that these things have been done.
Did he grant you wisdom, the All-Father?
Wisdom, sight, hearing, all manner of sense have been given. I've seen a state of things beyond, above the normal planes.
Skander looks like he has no idea how to process that, and he looks to you, Skjalmod, and just nods and says, "I'll go about my duties, Lord."
Very well. I'll walk with Hrothvitnesen towards the hall and hear what he has to say if he elaborates further. If not, just walk with it inside to seem fed and his wounds tended to.
As you approach the hall,
sorry,
go ahead.
I was just going to say, probably would only serve to worry you even more than perhaps assure you. But he would actually look to you and ask, "Are things well in the hall, Noki with Chorlik?" It just doesn't even make sense how he could say that, but he does.
We were robbed, nearly. The thief was caught and hanged. Chorlik was wounded, but they say will not die. Noki was attacked. His nose was broken, but I'm sure he's seen worse. It was one of the outlaws, as predicted. Some could not be trusted.
Typical of a rabid hound, bite at the hand of benevolence. Hopefully the others will learn from his mistake, or her mistake.
When you say her mistake, I'm like, how did you know? But I don't say that.
So Noki will arrive at the hall with a broken nose and blood running into his beard, while Hrothvitnesen is covered in blood himself and stinks of the swamp. And these are the two who will stand on either side of you as people come to beseech you for advice and help. And there's I think you notice immediately the people here are always polite, but there's a sort of forced politeness more so than ever in today's Wodenstag. The first one here is a messenger you recognize from Flokisson's Jarldom. And he looks uncomfortable to be here. And he says...
Is it Oleg?
It's Oleg,
Is it the one who's been here before? I'll welcome him in a friendly manner.
Thank you, Lord. I've heard there has been some unpleasantness. I have a message from my Jarl.
Of course, come, see your thirst slaked, and when you are ready, speak.
Yeah, he'll drink some water, and he'll read out. Dear Jarl, it is unfortunate that we were forced to leave things on such unpleasant terms, perhaps with cool tongues and tempers. You can see that my designs and a servant girl should not come between our two Jarldoms. Accept these gifts from my Jarldom so that you may build yourself some fine buildings of stone. Let us put this unpleasantness behind us and work together for the good of all who live in this land. The boy, of course, will have to answer for his assault against me. I look forward to your reply. And Oleg will tell you, he has sent significant stone, which you can use to build, Lord, if you wish.
Stone sinks in the swamp, he thinks, but he says, "Your lord is benevolent and generous, and knows to admit to a feud that needs putting to rest."
He'll nod, though he will know, I'm sure, as you will, that there was no apology in there, not even a hint of it.
Of course, such a thing should not come between us. He has given his apology to me, though he would not give the apology to the girl whom he'd accosted. The boy, on the other hand, Harkin, is in my household, serves as a warrior in training. He was only defending one of my townsfolk who was calling for aid, which is his duty. In the darkness, he did not know that he struck out at a Jarl. Though I think if he did, he still would have. The boy has fight, so we'll not hand him over. Tell your lord I accept the other terms of his agreement. And if my acceptance of the stone would sully his mood, then I will kindly refuse. You can take it back with you.
He looks uncomfortable, and he says, he certainly wants you to keep the stone, Lord. That was made clear to me. A gift given should not be returned.
Indeed. I shall have something appropriate presented for you for when you return to your Lord Oleg.
Very good. Thank you, Lord. And he'll make his way out to the now familiar sort of tavern. And you'll see like people, your warriors particularly, like clap him on the shoulder. They seem to like Oleg, though they don't like his Jarl. There's the usual sort of arrivals of people who like ask for blessings for like new ventures and births, deaths, funerals, that kind of thing. But there's a noticeable like chatter among the people, and then 4 warriors will walk into the hall, and you recognize them. These are people who you would have served with a long time ago, with Heston, Jarl Heston, who was your first Jarl before you were promoted, you might say, to the king's service. Thorin here, Logir, Hogan, and a 4th that you don't recognize have like come here. Thorin, you can like see this hall, which is like much grander than the outside of the village that you've walked through. Though the outside of the village is not disgusting, it's certainly not Gunland. And like the biting flies are immediately apparent. That you can see like this hall is fairly nice, and as you like enter, you can see Skjalmod like sitting upon this fine chair, and one side of him is a berserker who's like near naked, but for a wolf skin, and like covered in his own blood and like this swamp goo, basically like all the residue of walking through swamp water. On the other side, there's like this stone-faced killer with like a badly broken nose and blood in his beard.
Thorin, Hogan, Logir, come forth. It's been an age since I've seen you. Come. And I'll like make space at the benches and get food and drink brought over and embrace each of them in turn with like the warrior's grasp.
Skjalmod Harson, should we call you Lord? I see you are Jarl now.
You've sworn no oath to me, he says. The name is good enough. Or friend, come, and he'll put an arm around her and bring her over to the table. I trust your journey was well?
Well enough, well enough.
What brings you all here?
There's enough bickering back in Gunland to last us a lifetime. We thought we should leave, and we'd heard rumors of your good fortune. Hefnar died. No legitimate heirs, 6 bastards, and a couple of huskarls all vying for his spot. It was not a good place to be.
There'll be blood there. He'll grab his amulet and like utter a prayer for Hessen, and he'll like spill some mead down onto the rushes. They'll rip the place apart. They'll stay at each other's throats too long.
We left Gunland and heard that they'd already set the hall on fire. Animals.
Dark times there. And then he'll like kind of take a second look. Is that Einar, Skeety's son?
It is, Lord. He'll say he's like maybe 17, 18.
You're a man now and a warrior, I see. You're in good company. He'll nod to the older men and veterans and Thorin.
Do my best to learn from these old bastards, Lord.
Your father learned from them. He was a good man. Skull, and he'll raise his mead cup and spill a little for Skeety, Einar's father as well.
He'll nod in appreciation.
Where will you go now? What will you do? He'll say, like scanning the men and Thorin.
Lugir will say, we brought our families. Skjalmod, we're hoping to serve here. Start something here. If you'll have us.
Well, there's place aplenty and food. He'll not starve here. It is not the prettiest of lands. People can thrive. Of course, you're welcome here. You honor me by coming. I wish that I could receive you in a finer place than this, but such is the will of the gods.
It looks well, Skjalmod. You look well. Jarldom suits you.
Not so well, he says, and he like notices a couple of ink stains on his fingers from like the chicken scrawlings he's had to do in the absence of Chorlik. Not so well, and reaches for the mead cup, which he knows better than the stylus. Come, Thorin, come to the dais. There are men you should meet. You others, have your fill, food and drink, and when you are ready, come, so we'll swear the oaths before the Gothi.
We will, Lord. We'll catch up this evening, hey? Some drink.
Indeed.
And they'll make their way out.
He'll take Thorin up to where like the table, I guess, was set up for the Woden's Day ritual, and introduce Thorin first to the Gothi of Skalvik. This is Hrothvitnesson. He gives spiritual guidance and the wisdom of Odin. He has served as Gothi of these people long before I came. He is fearsome in battle and well wise in knowledge. Hrothvitnesson, this is Thorin. We have fought in the shield wall together many times. My father fought with her father, skilled Cloffer. And he'll like stand back that they may greet each other.
I have not met one such as you, Hrothvitnesson. Odin touched.
There are not many like me.
She kind of raises an eyebrow and looks at the muck and the blood and goes, "Nay, I imagine not."
If you are a friend to the Jarl, then you are a friend to me and to Odin. I'll assist you in any way that I can if it comes to that.
Aye. And if you are counted among Skjalmod's men, then I shall assist you and protect you with my shield and my blade. Although you don't look as though you need it. There's kind of a half smile.
Yeah, I'll just like let out like a half snort, the closest thing to laughter that he can manage.
Skjalmod smiles at the mirth and the friendliness, and as he like moves to take Doran to introduce to Noki, he will like speak quietly of like the mud and blood and say, "We've been seeking Odin's guidance. There is trouble in the fens, though it seems peaceable enough here. times dictate some stark necessities, and that's when he'll like get to Noki. Say, Noki, this is Thorin, skilled clother. Thorin, this is a leal servant and knowledgeable man of these fens. He has helped bring this the southern parts of this fen to heal. And he'll introduce her to Noki.
Well met, warrior. I see that you bear the mark already of a battle. She gestures at your nose.
Next.
Chekhovian curse, 1d4 times. I think he's gone. At least I can't hear him.
So the people are still queuing to get an audience and to discuss issues with the Jarl. And you notice that one of your warriors comes up, Skjalmod. Michael Gunnar, he's like one of your younger warriors, though capable. He steps forward and he says, Lord, would have asked privately, but due to the nature of the question, it must be done publicly. There's a a woman in the village that I have a fondness for. And she is beaten regularly by her husband. I have witness in the boy Hakon, who has sworn to me under oath that it is Stein that beats her. I would challenge him, Lord, make the birch square, and if I lose, I'll apologize and pay him the fine. But if I win, I would have him divorce and take her as my own wife.
Well said, Gunnar. But I would hear what the maid in question has to say on this, and hear the man's testimony too. I'll look to Skander and Magni the Bright and nod, and they know what I mean for them to do. Come, Gunnar, you honour me by speaking truth and plain, but you must understand, I will hear everything before I give my final answer.
Of course, Lord. And he'll stand sort of nervously to the side as Skander and Magni go and fetch the accused man and woman. And in the meantime, several more villagers will come up. One of them complains about missing chickens again. There's always missing chickens, it seems, every Wednesday. And it's not too long before this large, burly, older man, Stein, will enter under some duress, and then Greta, the wife, will enter too. Yes, Lord, you called for me.
Gunnar here wishes to challenge you. He questions your honor and accuses you of beating your wife.
Yes, I beat her. She's my wife. It's no one's business but mine and hers.
And I'll look to the wife.
She's looking down at the ground and seems to want nothing to do with this.
I'll bore my eyes into her look away, forcing her to meet my gaze, however long it takes in awkward silence.
She will eventually look.
What have you to say on this? Is it true? Stein here beats you?
I am clumsy, Lord. I fall often.
Would you rather take this one, Gunnar, as your husband, than Stein, who does violence to you?
She looks to Gunnar and then to Stein. And you can tell that she does want that, though she's afraid to say anything.
I see, I'll say. Stein, will you fight for your honor, or will you acquiesce, divorce, and see the thing settled?
How is this anyone's business but my own, Lord? This boy here comes to claim my wife. What is this?
I see from her look she would have him, and wonder if she would be better with him, unless he too would hit her. And he'll say that like accusatorily and like poisonously, like trying to remain impartial, but like it dips into bias when he like says those words.
Fitness would actually speak up, perhaps even out of turn, in the Jarl's eyes, and say, "You've been challenged. It's been made the business of gods, of Odin. You will answer for that, regardless of your own opinions."
A great many oaths are sworn when a wedding happens. It's a sacred thing, and now we're just going to discard it.
Any man or woman may divorce the other at their choice. The king's law is clear on this.
I've not heard Greta say she wanted a divorce.
Well, Greta, would you let blood not be shed and divorce this man for the one that you desire and chance a better life?
He turns to look at her. Would you?
Silence! I'll bark at him and then look back to her.
She looks terrified. Doesn't really know what to say. She like stares at the ground intently.
Come closer, and I'll beckon her up to the table in the midst of myself, Noki, Thorin, and Hrothvitnesson.
She'll approach, though she's shaking.
You have my protection and that of these mighty warriors. The law will protect you. Trust that here you can speak truth. How would you have it?
But if Stein wins and he's big, Lord, then I'll remain his wife.
That is so. The gods are clear on this, and he'll look to Hrothvitnesson, assuming like he'll nod or confirm that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If you do not divorce him, that could be the fate.
But if I do, then he'll still be in the village, Lord.
But he will not be able to beat you.
She looks unsure about that.
I'll look like between the warriors around me, and then gesture to the others around the hall. It is my duty to keep you safe, he says. I will promise to do this. If I'm not there, Gunnar can protect you. He is capable. And it is obvious he cares for you. I do not think he would risk his life otherwise.
I'd have it so, Lord.
Then speak it before the assembled, and I will make it so.
She like shudders at that, and is obviously terrified of speaking loudly, particularly in front of Stein.
I'll move then down to support her, and I'll try. I imagine Thorin and I have been on many battlefields together, and have like how you can nod and use eyes and like facial expression to like communicate stuff. And I want her to kind of like flank me with Hrothvitnesson and Noki, so that she, when I approach them, is like standing opposite Stein and nearby to the girl.
Thorin does so, and she tries to lock eyes with Stein, and then lifts her chin to him. The quiet challenge, daring him to interrupt this girl.
And what will my price be, Lord, for this? Loss of a wife? Some boy's challenge?
He'll look to the girl, bidding her to speak.
You can see that she's like trying, though is really struggling with the ability to like speak louder than a whisper. I would have it so.
I would prompt her to further volume and say, you would have Gunnar for your husband instead and divorce Stein?
Yes, Lord.
He'll then look to her Hrothvitnesson for like spiritual edification of this.
Yeah, so I, as Jeff, don't know, but part of my Gothi feature from my background is that I basically know how to do all of these types of things. So what would be the like the process that would need to happen for this to come to pass?
So it is legal for like people to divorce. There has to be reason and cause, which there is. Though like there probably has to be a price paid to Stein, or like to the injured party, I guess, which would be Stein in this case, even though he's the one who's caused it, because he's being divorced. If that makes any sense.
Very well. Gunnar shall pay his bride price to Stein. I'll look to Rolf Witness, and how does that seem?
It is within the gods for this to happen, but you speak truth. There will need to be price paid.
Gunnar will nod and say, "I'll pay it, Lord."
Stein, you accept?
He's got that sort of like look of like a man who's furious with humiliation, like that he's been dragged here and has his wife taken from him by some Gunlander boy who's like demanded basically to take his wife from him, and he's like obviously furious about it. But he's also like aware that he's surrounded by like armed men and women. So he'll nod, accept.
I won't accept the nod. I'll have him speak it before the assembled.
For 30 silver pieces, the bride price, I accept.
Let it be done.
And so that's like agreed. And Greta will like move over to where Gunnar is. And like Gunnar will like stare at Stein. He'll stare back at him.
Thorin turns to Gunnar. Says, "You have your wife. Find your silver, and make yourself scarce for a little while, hey?"
He looks at you and like shakes his head. "I'll not leave. I serve Skjalmod."
Get out of sight for the day, I mean. Don't leave here, you daft man.
If this man has a problem with me, then he can say so. And Stein will like spit on the ground. "I do have a problem with you, whelp."
Stupid boy.
Stein, what is your grievance?
The insult given, Lord, that this boy would come here and demand my wife, and that she is taken from me.
You should not beat her.
I will beat him.
Perhaps.
You've been paid for your insult. You've accepted the deal openly in front of the Jarl.
I've been paid for my wife,
right.
for my property. I have not been paid for the insult.
Well, then perhaps you will be paid, and I'll look to Gunnar to see if he really wants to push this thing and risk like having a wife now in peace to getting wounded or killed.
I think you can see that like Gunnar is young and headstrong, and like that's why he was willing to like make this claim in the first place. And he would like go to take a step forward, but you would see Skander would just put a hand on his shoulder and like give it a squeeze, and he would like look between you, and he would just nod in your direction.
Very well.
So that was
If
a
a
nod.
month-
Sorry, that he doesn't want to fight. That he like accepts.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, that he. So like Skander had like tried to calm him, and Gunnar would like accept that. But Stein like stands waiting for the silver. And when that's produced, he'll like leave the hall. With no thank you, no nothing. He'll just storm out. there's like a couple of moments of quiet before there's like you can hear this like fiddle playing, and this like group of traveling performers like come into the hall. The leader's like this old man. He's got this easy smile and a shaved head, and this like fine waxed mustache. And he'll like come in and incline his head. Lord, we fine games and stories have we to tell, and skills you'll ne'er see anywhere else. We'd like to stay, Lord, for a week or so. If that's acceptable to you. All we'd ask is your hospitality and a place by the hearth to rest. We've got a wise woman from the mists of Valley Land who can cure what ails you. We've got a man with giant blood in him, strong as 10 normal men. We've all manner of performers for your pleasure, Lord.
Welcome, he'll say, but he's dubious, like that these people would like dare the fens to come here and stay in this place. And he'll look between each of them.
I mean, they look like road-weary circus folk, basically. Like they wander from place to place and try and make what they can. He'll say, we just come from Bloatspur, Lord. We had been told that there's a great Jarl here now, and so we thought best to make the connections, to shake the hands, to drink together, so we may come back in future.
Very well, and while you were here, you will entertain the folk, and you will write 2 songs.
Agreed, Lord.
Skull.
Skull. And he'll like bow, and like one of the women behind him will like do a flip. She'll like run a little bit forward, and then and other people in the hall will be like, "Wow!" Like that's amazing. There'll be like applause, and he'll like move out of the hall with like the fiddle playing.
Yeah, underneath like the frivolity and like performance, I'm still like worried, and the idea of Stein and Gunner's rivalry is gnawing at me.
So the rest of the Woden's Day will go pretty smoothly. More people just asking about this and that, like nothing big, nothing that requires your direct attention. Lots of just rubber stamping and nodding and pouring of mead. Yeah, and then it's up to you guys. We'll take a quick break there, and we'll come back in just a couple of minutes. I'm back.
Since you're back, I'm going to use you as the mic tester.
Yep, can hear you
Can
now.
you hear me?
Yep.
I've no idea what happened.
It's the Chekhovian curse.
It really is. It's the gods piss on me.
Must be something to do with like the mic settings where it auto turns off or something after a certain time, something like that maybe.
Well, I know Hangouts does that to me, but I'm
Right.
not using the Hangouts mute for this.
Okay.
So that's the first time it's ever done it
Hmm.
on using mic mute. So it's just following me at this point.
That felt dank and gross. That was good. Felt appropriately fen fuckery.
Yep.
So now you got a cool place to build a temple.
Yeah. For sure. Then make a note of where that was.
Yep.
Oh, that would suck if you were so mixed up on mushrooms you can't remember where you left your rolling stone.
Like trying to bring across like my experience of those kind of journeys and how like I always notice the detail in things that I never notice otherwise, you know. There's just like the fucking weirdness of that wolf being like turning over his shoulder and like talking to you, like ugh.
Yeah. But then like all like knowing it's weird but still not caring. Like,
Yep.
this is happening. Say that transition from into Anoki was 10 out of 10. So good.
Yeah, I did enjoy that one. I'm sorry, Jax. I probably should have given you a chance to do something, but I just don't think like there's any hope if like somebody's sitting on top of you with a knife at your throat that there's anything you can realistically do.
No, I thought about it, and yeah, it would only end bad for Noki in that position.
Yeah. And I felt like he's enough of a survivor that he would just be like, "I'll accept it. I'd rather not die."
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, his only hope was to say, "Yep, the wealth was under the hearth."
Yep.
And that she would have been discovered digging it up, not knowing that she'd actually be stupid enough to do what she'd done.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're going to steal from a Jarl, at least take his head off first. Makes it so much easier to remove the Thork.
I think in her mind, she was like, I can't kill this Jarl if he's awake. And even if he's asleep, I probably won't kill him in one go. So I'll just try and take it. Hangouts is severely fucky this evening. There's a lot of stuff going on. So do you have any plans for the fenfolk? Anybody?
I'm leaving that decision up to our good Jarl.
What's that?
Plans for the fenfolk?
Yeah, I want to reach out to them. I was thinking about talking to that trapper to where he was driven from his land. I figure that's the best place to start looking.
Yeah.
Might be a good way to give Thorin a tour of the place in all of its daytime glory.
Just waiting on Taylor to come back, I think.
Cool. Yeah, I think I also want to get a bunch of food together and like go up to Elfric. Is it Elfric? Ulfric.
Ulfric,
Oh
yeah.
no, Godrickson. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me offlot.
Yep. He's actually got a castle further to the east. It's like Myrr III is like one of the bigger villages under his command, but he actually has like his own town.
Haidborg.
Yes. Yep.
Excellent.
I mean, castle is like, it's not like a Jotun castle, but it's a fastness.
Talking about that, about castles, I'm intrigued about the Jotun Tower. I've been thinking, why did they build it there? Like, what's it on, or what? Why would Jotuns build a tower in the swamp? Like, doesn't make sense.
Maybe it wasn't always a swamp.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say with them, it could have been built like thousands of years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows how much could have changed?
So you can see now that the stone has been left, and there's a great amount of it. Several tons of like cut stone has been left by wagons and whatnot, by boats, sorry, that they brought here. And it's been like piled outside of the town by workers and whatnot. It's there for your use, whatever you decide to do with it. You reckon there's enough there for like a pretty significant building at the very least?
Yeah, when Shaw looks better, I'll have him kind of inventory that and decide what to do. But for now, I'll make sure the boats and stuff that Oleg brought are like laden heavy with food as like a gift for him to take back.
Okay. Yeah, you're a bit quiet, Nico.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I'll make sure Oleg's boats are laden with food and fare to take back to Flokisson to honor him.
Okay.
As much as it rankles me.
That's
the proper thing to do.
They can get to piling up like catfish and things like that, and like the various delicacies of the swamp. Though it's a great amount of food, which itself is a significant gift. And they'll take that back. And Oleg will say his goodbyes with handshakes and the like.
I'll wish him goodbye and say, journey safe, Oleg, and smile at him as it goes.
Yeah, he'll shake your hand and nod. I always appreciate your hospitality, Jarl.
You're always welcome.
And he'll leave. And so it's Thursday now, and whatever you want to do next is up to you guys.
Seek out the others and say to you guys once we're all together, I want to go and speak to the Fen Queen and sort out this rivalry or this like bad blood that's brewing. And then from there, further on north to speak with Godrickson. He's a neighbor who I wish to have good relations with. I was wondering if you would like to come with me.
Certainly. I'm always keen to get the lay of the land.
Well, Skander and Hogan stay here to train the men and the field and protect the place. I figure a small group might go and have easier passage than many see to these things. I feel I'll need the guile and wisdom of all of you to see it through.
If this queen is still touched by the spirits that she has been said to be, we will need to be cautious, of course. I'm sure you're already well aware. I think it might be wiser to treat with some of her people that we can find before we speak with her directly. Understand their view of her. It will help us.
We could start looking where the old trapper came from before he was driven from his land. We might find trace of them there. Or is there a better place? And at that, he'd probably look to Nocky, who probably knows these swamps as well as Frotfitnesson, if they've both been living here for ages. Actually, not as good as Rolf Witnesen, given he has like LSD, HD, like topographic memory of the place. But yeah.
So either one of you can give me a world-wise if you want to know like more specifically, or you can just kind of like guess and make it up.
I mean, I'm gonna guess that Noki has never been that far as the trappers, so it's probably beyond his scope.
Yeah, I mean the reason it might be beyond Noki's scope is that it's not so all of the villages tend to be on the west side of the fens, like near where the big water is. Well, it seems like the fenfolk are like on the east side, up near the north, that sort of area, so like deeper into the fens.
That narrows down where we're going anyway, so we can at least set off unless there's any other business to attend to.
Health Fitness, and you could make me a worldwise, or if you also wanted to, you could make me a seathwise.
Ooh. That'll be an 18. It's worldwise.
Okay, so in your various sort of trips, both like figuratively and literally, you've been to like the fen people's lands, and you like seen it here and there, and that like image of the statue is something that you have seen like in your normal time as well. You know that if you like go from here like north and west, eventually you will come to this like settlement that they have. You know that they've like built a settlement up on stilts, basically, out in the deep fens. The where exactly, you're not too sure, but you know you've been there on like several of your journeys into the spirit world.
Yeah, and he would say as much. That when I saw through the Allfather's eyes, as I spoke to you about earlier, I saw traces of such a place. My vision of it was not at normal level, so to navigate to it would be a task, but I should at least know how to get as close.
I do not think the Allfather would have granted you this knowledge unless we had his blessing in this endeavor. Lead on, good Froth Fitnesson.
How many will you take, Skjalmod? Are you going to take like a big bunch of lads, or just you, or something in between?
I think like just us, Luther, and two of either the locals or the outlaws that can be trusted in the swamps.
Okay.
Just like a small group. I don't want to I don't want to make them attack me because of what I bring. Like, oh, you've brought 100 spears into it, or not that I even have 100. You've brought 20 spears into our land. Like just us, I think, and try and be more like approach diplomatically.
Sure.
But what do you guys think?
If he's still around, we should bring that trapper guy who was driven
Good
out
call.
in the first place.
Yeah.
Yep.
Makes sense.
So Sven and Noki and us, Luda, and the trapper.
Okay. Yeah, so you can gather up and like head out on the sort of canoe boats that they use here in the fens. That's assuming you don't want to like walk through the like knee or waist deep sort of pools and shoals everywhere. If you wanted to walk, you do that too, but it's possible that you could use boats for most of the way.
Yeah, that'd definitely be preferable, so we can at least have something clean to approach Ulfric in if we get that far.
So
But
you
I doubt we'll not get muddy. I'll also leave like Skander assisted by Hogan to like preside over things in our absence.
Yeah. So you can get into the boat and like start heading into the deeper fens. You'll like travel for the best part of a day. You'll like camp out on one of these little islands that's like high enough that you know the tides won't shift it too dramatically. can like camp out on this rock that has moss only on up to a certain point, so you know that it's dry from above, and you can like make a camp there for the night. You're basically eaten alive by these insects that are crawling into your ears and like biting you everywhere that's not covered. You can like make a smoky fire to try and drive them off. That is only so effective. And you can like sleep there for the night. The trapper will bring you to his house the next day. And it'll be ransacked, though empty. And he'll like look upset at that. This is it, Lord. This is where I lived. Looks like they've taken everything.
I'm sorry for your loss. When all this is over, you'll be established once more. For now, you can continue to enjoy my hospitality. Once we get out of this, and at that he's like stepped in like a puddle and nearly overbalances or something. Like stalks forward, like looking further at like the ruin here. Is it just like random chaos of like destruction and looting, or is it like burnt out? Like, did they simply just destroy it all?
Give me an investigation. It does look like a lot of destruction.
16.
So you can see that like they have destroyed the place. Like they've deliberately gone about breaking like the roof and things like that. But you'll also see like as you like look closer that there are like symbols painted on certain parts of the house. Like above the door frame, there's one. It's like this triskele. These like 3 spirals that interlink. You'll see similar sort of spirally or like curved symbols in different parts of the home. They seem to be drawn in blood.
I'll shudder at the desecration.
Yeah, the man will do the same. He'll like grip his amulet tightly.
If possible, with a 16 Seathwise Troth Fitness, and is going to try to like determine the nature of these symbols, assuming that they're probably linked to the spirits that control the Fen Witch, the Fen Queen, but not positive.
Heathen nonsense is what you think. It's like barbaric ancient god bullshit. These like scrawlings that mean nothing.
Yeah, and he would say as much. These marks and nothing but desecration. Evil marks by people with no sense of the gods or with sense of goodness.
If you believe that, do you think it's even worth going to treat with them?
One way or another, they must be dealt with. If you think that can be done with words, that is within your right to make. But surely something must be done.
The man has like moved through the house and at the other side, and you hear him call out, "Dagger!" And you can like run out and see his hound has been like impaled on a tree, like several branches like shoved through it, and he's like on his knees before it in horror.
This is a call that must be answered. You're right. One way or another, it must be dealt with. 10 men or 30. I don't think it would make little difference. We should push on. Well, thank you all.
Can I bury her, Lord?
Of course. I'll nod to Sven to help him, and then move in closer with the other guys while Luda busies himself preparing for us to leave.
Yeah, Sven and the trapper will like take the dog down and like dig a grave for her.
This goes beyond simple looting, attempts for survival. This was deliberate death, deliberate destruction, and desecration. Maybe worse than we thought.
This man has my oath of protection. I must answer this call. I would feel better if you were at my back, Noki and Thorin, he says. But I understand if you would go back to Skalvik. This is an unholy task we undertake.
I'll be at your side.
Luda's like in the corner and he's like packing things back into the boat and he's like shaking his head. What kind of gods would want that? Cruelty to a dog.
We sacrifice beasts to the Aesir and the Vanir.
Not like that.
Well, we've burnt them or maimed them, kinslain them at some times.
He like shakes his head. He doesn't see the similarity. He sees one as profane and one as holy. With time, the trapper and Sven will like return. They've buried Daga the Hound, and you'll see like tear streaks down the trapper's cheeks, but he's ready to go.
I'll fall in and follow Hrothvitness and as he follows the path he's seen.
So you can get back into the boat and continue sailing. Sailing is the wrong word. Poling your way through these like puddles and streams, and you'll start to see signs of like the fenfolk. You'll see ahead like a house on stilts, and it's got that Triskelay symbol like painted above the door frame as well on the outside. They're much bigger here, and you'll see that there's like a boy, maybe 10 or so, and he's like dangling off the side of the like his legs are dangling off the side of the platform. He's got like a fishing rod and he like looks in your direction sort of worriedly.
I'll stand riding myself on like the canoe and put my palms outstretched towards him. Greetings. I mean you no harm, boy, he says.
He looks back into the house and then to you.
Where is your father or mother?
Hunting. Who are you?
I'm Skjalmod, a visitor. I wish to speak with your chief or queen if I can.
That way. He points north of where you are. It'll only be a slight sort of detour in the way you're going. You'll see the statue.
I'm going to roll an insight on that to see if that's something he's been trained to tell outsiders to like lure them into something terrible. For 15.
It's hard to say. You think he's telling the truth about where the statue is?
Then I'll give him my thanks to him and I'll just be like eyeing the water in and around the canoe as we like sail that way or pole that way.
He'll like watch you from the platform as you go by, and you'll see like something starts to shake his fishing rod, and he'll like pull up this fish, and he'll like pull it up to where he is, and as you're like just about out of sight, he'll like grab it with both hands and just like tear into it alive, and you'll like continue to pull along, and you'll see like the animals here are big. There's these huge like frogs and toads. The that like make these like insane noises, and these great catfish that like swim under the canoe. Some of them like 7 or 8 feet long. These enormous catfish all around. One of them at one stage will like bump into the boat and you'll like feel it, such as the heft of this creature beneath you. And you'll continue like poling your way until you'll see in the distance 2 towers, like wooden towers that have been built up. They look sort of rickety, though they're quite tall, maybe 40, 50 feet even. And you see the statue. There's like this, these 2 islands, and the gap between them is maybe only 10 feet. Each has this huge boulder, and on one of the boulders is carved this image. It's of a man. He has his hands out to the side, and in one hand he holds a human body, and in the other a sickle. His face is that of a man, though he has the ears of a stag, and also these like great stag antlers that come out from the top of his head. His body is that of a man, but then his legs are those of like a goat, or like furry sort of legs, and he sits cross-legged, and where his legs cross, there's a basin that's been like dug into the stone, maybe 15 feet across. And all around him, there are these other symbols that have been like carved into the stone. They're all like circular symbols or like spiral symbols, and you wonder at how like good the craftsmanship is that you can like carve circles into stone, which usually is quite difficult. It's why runes are angular. And so you like marvel at that for a moment. And like built on top of that statue is this tower that stretches up, and on the other side, the bare stone and the tower there. And connecting them is this like rope bridge. And like hanging from the bridge are all these ropes with like skulls that dangle, almost like wind chimes in the wind. Though there is no wind, it's stagnant here. And on top of the towers, there are people and there are torches. One of them, people on top will like look and call out, "Who are you?"
Skjalmod. Horson. I come to speak with whoever has authority to treat with me.
"You are men with metal minds. We do not want to speak with you."
Who are you?
"One of many. Protect this place. We don't want your foreign gods. We don't want your steel. Go away."
Aye, we too wish to live in peace, but this man's hut was desecrated, destroyed, and marked with the blood of his faithful hound. You say you want one thing, but the actions of one of many or more prove otherwise.
We must hunt.
Hunt what meager things this man has, and paint with his dog's guts?
We were told to do so, and
By whom?
we did. The rower.
The rower?
Yep.
As in like...
One who rows.
Okay, yep. Who is this rower? Where might I find them?
You do not want to find the rower.
Why?
He's not of this world.
Is it your god?
One of many. He gives advice to our queen.
And the rower advised your queen that this man's hut should be ruined?
So she says.
Hmm.
It's just like the lapping of the water and like the of the rope bridge as it hangs, and then there's like of like some of the skulls knocking together.
And what about your queen? Would I want to speak with her? or is she as terrible as the rower?
She is more beautiful than anything you can imagine. I do not know if she wants to speak with you, Skjalmod.
Well, one of many. Might you part a message to her to see if she might?
He like turns over his shoulder and like shouts something in this language. He turns back. I have asked.
I'll look around in the like unsettling. Well, it's not silence, but like lack of speech, but just abundance of noise, like white or green noise.
Yeah, there's like this constant like swinging of the rope bridge and the creaking of wood, and then like the splash of the water. There's like this big fish that like surfaces for a second and like devours a duck that's like on the surface of the water, and then back underneath.
I turn in the boat while I'm waiting to look at my companions to see what their reaction is.
Yeah, Hrothfitnison would definitely be very still, almost like eerily still, just like looking at all the symbols, these like ornate carvings in this stone. He's clearly not very happy with being here and with seeing these things. It would be plain on his face that he does not trust these people and their heathen gods.
Thorin is sweating profusely in the dampness of this swamp. She feels out of place without her mail on, but when you counseled her it was foolish to wear such things in a swamp. She listened, and her eyes go wide and then narrow at this huge fish. She just shakes her head and keeps her post within a few steps of you.
There's a couple of minutes that go by in like tense silence before one of many will call down. She will speak with you.
I'll nod respectfully at that knowledge in the direction of one of many, and wait for his instruction of how to approach, not wanting to like offend the rower, the queen, this like profane sickle god, and these like many grim fish-eating folk.
Go through under the bone bridge. You'll leave something for the hunter. And he like points at the basin of this like huge horned god. And you begin to like pull forward between these two, this like, narrow gap between the rocks. And you can see like into the basin a little bit if you stand. And there's like all manner of things in there. But notably there are like human bones in there also.
I want to leave my spit in there, but to be honest, I'm too afraid. I don't want to offend these people, and I want to like honor the queen potentially. So I'll think I'll take like a war braid and cut it and lay it at the side. A sign of like cutting a war braid in the way of peace.
Will the rest of you leave something?
Yeah, Noki will reach into a pouch and bring out some healing herbs that he's got, that he's gathered in the fens. and he'll place them into the bowl.
You can feel like the gaze of like all the men atop the bridge. One of them has like walked out into the middle of this like rope bridge, and he's like looking down to see what you leave.
Thorin looks to Skjalmod, sighs, and she'll pull out one of her smaller kind of throwing spears. Hunter. She'll mutter under her breath, but she'll toss it in.
It would be pretty clear by his body language that Rothfitnissen does not intend to leave anything. He doesn't make any motion or anything towards this basin.
Luda will throw in a piece of hack silver. And even the trapper, though he has enough reason to dislike these people, is like fearful and doesn't want to offend. So he'll leave some fresh meat. And so you pull through this like narrow gap. It's maybe 10 or so feet wide between these two stones. And then into this sort of like basin. There's like a lagoon, I guess you would call it, and all these small islands around it. One of the islands at the back has almost like a cliff face. It's maybe like 10 feet up. There's nowhere like easy to land there, except for like one part where there's like several docks, where there's like all these different canoes and stuff like that. And atop it, there's a walled settlement. But all around there are like huts in the swamp that like come out of the water on stilts, and then there's also like on the various islands like some more substantial buildings. And you can like pull your way through and see all these various people going about their business. You'll see that like they don't have any fine things, and they seem to use like bone or stone weapons, like knives to like cut fish. You see several of them who are like standing around a big fire, and they're like cooking, seemingly like for the whole community. And all of the houses will have that triskelay above the door, and they'll have you'll see like various other symbols drawn on places, and you can approach that far bank and like pull your canoe up to the dock. You'll be greeted by several men and women who, some of them have like bone armor, others just wear clothes. One of them who like stands at the front has like a bone through the bridge of his nose, it looks like, and one through like the septum of his nose. And he has this like elaborate sort of paint, these two like stripes that run from the top of his hairline like down over his eyes and down into his neck. They all have like shaggy beards, and he will look. You are Skjalmod. You wish to speak with the queen?
I do, he says, if it please her.
You cannot bring your iron.
He'll unshoulder his blades immediately, and like hand over his like war harness and stuff. Hrothvitnesen has like is the weapon if need be, so I'm not like fearful in giving over my blade. And I gesture for the others to do the same.
Thorin frowns, but obliges.
Yeah, Hrothvitnissen would just raise his arms and show that he has nothing to give.
And Naki?
Noki's wishing that he had put a knife in his boot, like on the boat, like he had intended to do. But he will give over his weapons and any item.
So then you're led up this like slippery mud path that has like wooden branches put over it so you can walk up it through this wooden gate and into this place. It's a stone building and it looks old, really, really old. The stones are like huge, much bigger than you would build with. And it's like marked with this Triskele. It's like beautifully carved Triskele over the door, and you're brought inside. It's like dank in here. There's a hearth at the center and a hole in the roof for the fire or the smoke to escape. And you'll see like this is obviously like where lots of people live. There's like different like alcoves and stuff for like families to live in, and many of them will like look up from their work as they all like squat or sit, cooking, carving, things like that. And at the end of this, there's like a stepped sort of platform, and this great chair like made of it looks like driftwood that they've like this particular piece that's been carved huge into a throne. And on it sits this woman, a girl, really. She has this insanely long hair that like goes well past, like comes off the throne and onto the ground, and it's soaking wet, like absolutely soaked, as if she was literally just in the water. And you'll see that there is like all these like weeds and stuff, or not weeds, like seaweed, basically like tied into her hair all over. And she wears this like dark green shift that's also soaking wet. And from her fingers all the way up to every part of her, there's like this blue and black and also white paint all over her. And she'll look up and gesture for you to come closer.
I'll do so. After stealing myself, I'll walk forward and then like get down to one knee and bow before rising respectfully.
Why do you intrude upon my realm, man of metal?
No intrusion, my queen, he says. No one that needs answering. I've brought a man whose place was destroyed and desecrated by your people. That was the intrusion. That is why I'm here.
Did you see the Triskele there?
I did, in dog's blood. It had not washed from the rain or rise of the water yet.
Mark of our god.
So I can see. Well, I have not come here to mark this place with my gods.
Nor could you. She like smiles, and you'll see that like some of her teeth are like filed into points. The place was marked. We had to take it.
So you are not the queen. Who must I speak with then?
I am the queen.
But you were told.
I do as the gods bid me.
Which one of your gods bid you ruin this man's low hovel?
The hunter, the rower.
Has this man slighted your gods? Can I seek to make reparations on his behalf?
His home was deemed to be within our boundaries, and so we took it back. There will be no apology.
Need there be further violence? Will your boundary expand at the next whim of the rower?
I do not know what the gods will do. They are mysterious. They decide what is to happen, and I make it so. I execute their wishes.
Algothi was gifted a vision from Odin, a path that led us here to you, else we surely would have sunk to our doom in the mire. There are the hands of many gods at work here, it seems.
Odin. It's a young god. Ours are older. Ours are the earth and the rain, the water. Yours are war and metal.
Come with no metal, as you see, and with no intent for war.
It is not war that we seek, but we will do as the gods demand. They tell me that your name is Skjalmod. Is that so?
It is, Your Majesty.
Sword wrath. Which like spits it at you.
Might I know your name? Or are you one of many too?
We are all one of many. I have a name. Fjölkyngi.
I hope we can find accord, Fjölkyngi. Do not wish war or steel amongst us, but peace.
I think that there will be war. I do not wish that, but I think that there will be. I think that the rower dislikes your people. I think that he hates you. You come here and chop down every tree, you hunt every fish. You destroy this place and try to bring order to a place that is chaos.
I, like you, can only do as I am commanded.
Your commands do not come from a god.
My orders come from one ordained by the gods.
Sigurdsson. That is his name. Your king. I have seen him in my dreams. Not ordained by gods, but by men. There is nothing holy about him. Not even of the line of kings is he. Just a man. I saw you save his life, Skjalmod. And this is the gift that he gives you. A poison chalice, I say.
Poison chalice.
He gives you these lands as a gift. And what do you have? Enemies on all sides. And a place so powerful with nature that no man could tame it. This is a place of old gods. There's no room for your gods here. Nature reclaimed all of the stones, all of the temples that were built. Or And she like turns her head to the side for a moment. And her eyes roll back in her head. And she like focuses again and looks at you, Hrothvitnison. You found one.
Yeah, and his attention is kind of drawn towards Hrothvitnison. You would see like blood in his mouth, where he's quite literally been biting his tongue to force himself not to speak out. The death of and the Jarl, if he would slow come out. There are marks of the gods that still stand and will continue to stand.
You think because you found a rock that your gods will dwell here. They will not. Even in your home, they worship older gods. They give sacrifice to Fjörni. He is not of your gods. You will see as the years go by. The gods here require sacrifice that you are not prepared to give.
I've been here for some time now, much longer than these others. And I've given sacrifices of my own, and I am still here. Seems you are not quite so.
She like snaps her head in your direction, and you can see that there's anger there. And she like waves her hand, and all of the fires in here, the hearth, all of the torches go out. He will be removed from my presence. I do not like him. And then they turn back on.
Hrothvitnison will just turn to Skjalmod and kind of like raise an eyebrow.
I must treat with Fjölkyngi, await us outside.
He's like very clearly displeased by that. But still, he'll just kind of give one more look back up towards this queen. And with huff, turn towards the door.
We do not let dogs into our homes here.
He is a wolf.
He is a man.
Can our peoples, like our gods, exist in this one world and thrive together?
What would you want from us? We
Peace.
want nothing from you.
I would have peace.
You have it.
This man does not have it. You know that.
It is beyond my control.
I understand, he says.
She like turns her head in one direction. You like see the perfect shape of her face. Unbelievably beautiful. And she like looks out, like at a wall, though in the direction of outside, and turns her head. Looks back to you. You must go.
Why, he says undiplomatically for the first time, like in tone for the first time since encountering her.
The rower.
If the rower has designs on my people, then I will not flee from him.
He is
They
coming.
have my oath. I'll turn to Noki and Thorin. Go with the berserker if you wish it. I will
I
not.
will not leave here. Come.
No.
You can treat more another day.
I'll look back to the queen.
She looks like nervous and she's breathing a little bit faster. He will not like to see you here.
So it's nervousness for herself.
Yeah.
She has all her people here, right? Including
Yes.
Bone Nose.
Yep.
Then I'll say back to Thurin, I will not go. And I'll see that Nocky's already turning and recollecting his weapons and making his way back to where Frostwitness had disappeared to. I'll command Looter and the Trapper to go and follow Frostwitness, and
they'll go. Outside Frostwitness, and you can see this mist has descended upon the place, as if from nowhere. It's like this thick fog. And you're up on this hill, and you can see approaching from the water this light, this lamp. It looks like approaching like a boat.
Eyes will from place this approaching, and if at the air, at the mist, as if sensing it some known thing. But curiosity hold his eyes to this incoming object.
You can hear this of a great oar in the water, and the mist clears ever so slightly. You can see that it's half a boat, and it's mostly underwater, approaching, and sitting in the part where there is no boat is this big man, although he is covered from head to toe in reeds and looks like seaweed and all these pieces of vegetation. He's just, and from the center of his chest is where that lamp is coming from. There's this light emanating from the center of him. Nocky, you can see it too now as you look outside. You escape that hole, maybe relieved, and then you see the mist and this thing approaching.
Prof. Fitnesson has no part of him that understands fear, but he'll still kind of clutch at the tooth that hangs on his chest. The tattoos of runes and markings of Odin underneath it. Just kind of feeling at them, seeing this unholy sight.
The queen on the chair is looking at you, and she's saying, "You should go, you should," and then she just smashes back into it as if something is holding her there, and her arms are splayed wide, as if she's being pushed into the chair by something.
I'll grab my amulet of Odin, of Thor around my neck, and I'll close my eyes and begin furious not furious, but pleading orisons to Tyr and Odin, spare this woman, aid her, praying to the Aesir for her.
Outside, this thing approaches the beach, and the boat will pull up and continue to sail on the land past you, or up towards you. This thing is just rowing, and you can see it closer now. It's huge. It's maybe 10, maybe even more than that feet tall. It's hunched over in the boat, and this light from the center. It's very, very bright. And it's got this oar that it's using to push through the earth now, and row its way up towards the building.
I do an investigation upon the queen, unless her warriors will cut me down if I approach her. I'm looking for a fetish or charm or something like that, which might be connecting her to this being seized by the throne she's on.
Sure.
Yeah, nothing. I can't recognize anything.
Yeah, I mean, she wears a bunch of different amulets and things like that. She has rings on her fingers, but it's hard to determine what the thing. You see that all the people in here who are not you are like putting their foreheads to the ground. And outside, the boat stops, and this thing steps out and like looks around. All of the warriors outside, all of the people are doing a similar thing. They're like on the floor, and their foreheads are touching the ground, the muck, the dirt.
Is the queen, or is she still seized in the
She's
throne?
like seized and pushed back against the throne.
Then I'm going to stand defiantly in front of her, facing the doorway.
It will walk past Fitnessin and Nucky and the Trapper and Luta, unless you guys want to do something. But I'm assuming you do not. It will like walk past. It's too big to fit through the door, and yet it does without any issue. Sorry, did you want to say something, Jeff?
I was just going to say, as it goes by, Fitnessin is going to like follow back into the doorway, kind of going back towards it. He's not going to stay outside as this thing is going into everybody else.
Yeah. It walks into the hall, and you can see it now, Skjalmod. This huge thing, the skin is made of seaweed, it looks like, and it like dangles all over it. And there's like bright light coming from its chest. And it like looks up, and you can see it's like wide mouth. It's got these square teeth inside. Like looks around the hall and sees that everyone's kneeling, and then that you are not. Like looks at the queen, and she is like pushed again and like moved, basically like a puppet, like her hands up in the air, and she's like lifted up into the air. Why are they here? And the queen is like trying to speak, and she will like be able to just about say, "They came to treat with us." And they'll turn its enormous head to look at you, Skjalmod. Metal men, not welcome.
Not welcomed, but we had to come. You commanded the queen and her people to desecrate one of mine's holdings. I had to answer his call for aid, and so I am here.
You will leave.
When the enmity between us is put to rest, then me and my people will leave.
It looks around at the people who are kneeling and looks up at the queen. There's like this silence, and you can just hear like the dripping of the water from this thing as it like makes a puddle on the ground, and also from the queen, who is like soaked. It looks like even more so now, like her hair is soaking wet and like dripping onto the ground.
Are you the spirit that possesses her? He says.
I grant her power.
She is not your servant, but your slave.
All men are thus.
No, not all.
More dripping onto the packed dirt floor of this place. Kneel.
I will not kneel, nor will any of mine to you, rower.
Make a wisdom save.
Probably not. 13. That's a lucky number, right?
So you're frightened, and you feel like your body moving against your will. This like horrifying feeling, as like muscles begin to tense without your command, and you begin to like drop down onto the floor. You are slaves.
We are
I'm like-
not. Thorn is shaking, but she's still by Skjalmod.
It like lifts a hand and like points towards you. Two of its fingers, its index and its pinky, will like point, and its eyes will open for the first time. You'll see that they're huge, like a squid's, and like there's a light coming from them. I need you to make me a wisdom save, please.
$19.
Cursed.
I'm going to try from my knee to like rise up and attack the rower.
Okay. Give me a wisdom. Well, it's only he gave you the command, so yeah, you can stand.
Yeah, I'm going to rush up and try and grapple his squid eye. One of them.
Sorry, you broke up there, Nico. What'd you say?
I'm going to try and grapple his squid eye. I'll rush up into. I got a 19 on my athletics check.
Let's see. Okay, he gets a 24.
Shit. Yeah, I'll try again. Do I get an action search? No. In that case, that's all I can do. I have no weapon. It was taken from me.
Yep. So let's roll initiative.
Everyone gets +4 to their initiative from me.
Okay, so Skjalmod like runs forward and like tries to grapple at this thing, but it's like huge and it bats him away. And then like you see all the people, none of the people move. Like all of the fenfolk continue to put their heads on the forehead on the ground. And Noki, your first act.
So I imagine Noki, just out of some bizarre curiosity, terrible curiosity, has been watching from the doorway. Did we see where they took the weapons to?
Yeah, the lad at Den Bone Nose basically is still holding them, like outside where you guys are standing.
Right. That's what Nucky's gonna do. He's rushing towards the weapons.
He's got his head on the floor, so you can just grab something.
Yep. It'll be Skjalmod's sword. If possible, if I can grab his sword in one hand and Thorn's in the other, that'd be ideal. But whatever I can carry.
You see that he doesn't even look up as you do so. Like, he obviously knows he can hear it, but he doesn't dare move. So you can grab those and run inside.
Yeah.
And you can like throw them. Thorin.
Thorin will follow Skjalmod and come upon this man, this thing with these eyes, and attempt to grapple him and pull him to the ground.
Okay, so the curse that it put on you.
Oh gosh.
It means you have to make a wisdom saving throw at the start of each of your turns. If you fail, you waste your action and do nothing.
A 10's not going to do it, is it?
No, you do have advantage because of Skjalmod, I think.
Oh, that's good. I rolled the same thing.
Okay, no. So yeah, you can feel this like filth magic like roll up your spine, and as you like try to move, your body won't obey, and you will do nothing. So
Thorin just grits her teeth, and it's like she's moving through mud. She can't force her arms up.
That will last until you get it removed by something. So good luck with that. The rower is going to like look around at you, Skjalmod, and it's going to try and gooify you. So it gets a 19 and a 22 to hit.
Yeah, they both hit. As a reaction, I'm going to allow Thorin to make an attack, a melee attack. So I guess only a punch.
Do I need to make a wisdom save to be able to do that?
No, at the start of each of your turns. Yeah, so you can take a reaction.
Okay.
So you'll take 19 from the first Skjalmod, and then you need to make me a strength save.
11.
So you're like knocked back 20 feet, and you like smash into the far wall of the place. You'll take an additional 10 bludgeoning from that as it like smashes you across. What did you get, Thorin?
22 to hit.
That will hit.
6 damage. It's a D4 plus strength mod, right?
Yes, I think it's no, I think it's just strength mod, right?
Oh, it's just strength mod? Okay, then it's 4.
Unless you have training, I think it's just strength mod.
Okay.
4. Okay. So it's attacked once. It'll then turn, because it's knocked Skjalmod away, it'll attack you with that 19, Thorin. Does that hit?
Yes.
Oh, Jesus. Gonna be 24 bludgeoning damage.
God.
And a strength save from you.
No.
You were also knocked back to the other side of the throne, where you smash against the far wall.
That 24 was system shock for me. That was half.
Oh boy. Want to roll D10 for me?
Not really. I'll do it. 7.
I think that's no reactions and disadvantage on attacks is my guess, but I don't know for sure. Somebody can check the Doom book. It knocks you. You'll take an additional 11 damage as you like hit the far wall and knock prone. It'll then turn from where it is and begin walking out of the hall. It'll walk past both Noki and Hrothvitnison. If you guys want to make opportunity attacks.
Do I?
That's enough hesitation to make me think you're not going to attack it, so
Yeah.
it'll walk past you.
Are you a
No.
religious zealot or what?
I mean, there's an old Viking saying, wolves first. So if he doesn't do anything, I'm not doing anything.
So he'll walk past then towards his boat and stand there. Then it's your turn, Hrothvitnison.
All right.
Come on.
Yeah. Was sorry. Were they knocked towards out towards
Oh,
the door of this place
away.
or away?
Away. They were knocked back to
So-
where the throne is.
Yeah. Hrothvitnison is assuming. Would he see people kind of rising as this thing is leaving, or are they still all down?
They're all face down.
Hrothvitnison would run to Skjalmod, seeing him like on the ground and battered, and is gonna like try to pick him up and start bringing him away.
Okay. Yep, you can run into the hall. It'll be 50 feet from where you are, so I don't know if you want to dash or whatever. And you can like get over to Skjalmod. I don't think he's like dead or anything. He's just been quite badly injured.
Yeah. He's
Okay.
gonna, he'll move and dash and kind of stand over him protectively, just trying to get him up.
No problem. Skjalmod.
I'm going to rush towards Noki, grab my blade. And rush down towards this thing and I'm going to ready in action to strike. I'm going to call my companions to me, like, defend your Jarl, defy this creature, smite him if you can. I'm going to ready my action till when Torin has joined me, and then I'll strike.
Okay. Noki.
Look, he's balls. He's a madman. But I will grab my blade and I'll make my way towards Skjalmod. But I'm not standing in line with him. Roughly 5-10 feet back.
Okay. Is that it for you? Okay. Baron.
Can I get out to him? I have to use half my movement to stand up.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, she'll come out and pick up one of the weapons that Noki's put on the floor and come next to Skjalmod. She's bleeding from her mouth. She can tell she's at least got one cracked rib. She says, Skjalmod, leave it. Leave it be.
I'm going to strike it and allow you a reaction to strike it as well. Miss. 14. I assume that's a miss.
Yeah, that'll miss.
17.
That will hit.
All right. Yeah, so she sees Skjalmod doing this. Terrible damage. And she will follow suit. 6 damage.
Okay. So you slash into the thing, you like cut off one of its like sea weed sort of like pieces that like seem to float around it. And it will like fall down onto the ground. It is going to turn and strike at both of you. FMD. Okay, so 24 to hit you, Thorin, and much higher than that to hit you.
Yep.
Skjalmod.
Just barely.
It's going to be 8. 15 for you, Thorin. 16 for you, Skjalmod.
It cuts me down.
Yep.
So just like with one hand, like smashes the two of you, and you go flying. If you're both unconscious, you will definitely go flying the 20 feet and like roll down the hill, probably towards the waiting Myrr. It will then get into the boat and begin to like push away from the land. Roth Witnesson.
Fitnesson is going to, oh gosh, this is probably a bad idea. He's going to see this as potentially an opportunity. In his mind, this woman and this thing are linked. And he's going to see the opening, and he's actually going to run up to this witch queen and try to maul her, hopefully, while she's still down.
Okay. She's paralyzed.
Oh god. Okay, so that's 25, 23, and 17 to hit.
Yep, all 3 of those will hit.
All right, so those are crits then, because she's paralyzed. All right. First one's gonna only be 8 damage. Then 13 damage, and then 8 damage. So that's
29, right?
29, and then the crits effect.
Yep. So because she's paralyzed, you can just pick where you want these effects to be.
I think I just go all for the face. Try to get her throat, or perhaps her head.
Okay. So then I'll need 3 d20s from you.
Yes, sir.
I'm actually using the old table, so if you can actually roll me 3 d6s instead.
Oh, 3 d6s. 1, 5, and 6.
Okay, this is, oof, boy. All right, so the first one like smashes her in the throat. This like punch seems to cut off her airways for a moment. The second, you tear out one of her eyes with your fingers, just like reach into the eye socket and pull out the eye. She's unable to scream. And the third, you like smash an elbow into her forehead, like fractures the skull. And you can see this, or you hear the crack rather, and you can see that there's like blood behind her eyes. She's dealt with.
Yeah, seeing that, he'll kind of just clutch at the tooth on his neck and hope to Odin that at least without her, there will be less force that this thing might have.
Skjalmod, death save, please.
1 save.
Okay. Nucky. You can see the thing has like climbed into its boat and seems to be leaving.
Yeah, I have no intentions of tangling with it. But I assume I can see the because Skjalmod and Thorn have fallen into the swamp.
Yeah.
So seeing that they haven't risen back up from it, Noki's going to run down, wade into the waters and dig about until he feels something solid in the silt. And we'll say Skjalmod, because that would be the one he would go for first. Drag him up, and is the boat nearby, or is it just shore?
It is nearby, yeah. Like you docked here.
Ideally, he'd be dragged to the boat and unceremoniously piled in.
Yeah, the trapper and Luda will like help you with that, like throw him into the boat. You can see that they're like frantically like untying the ropes and stuff, and they're bringing the boat closer to where Thorin hit the water. Thorin, death save.
1 success.
Okay, the rower is going to row across the land until he hits the water, and will begin to row away. Roll Fitnessin.
Seeing,
Sorry, actually, I should say, as he like hits the water, there's a moment where like the queen just like slumps back onto the throne.
yeah, seeing her dealt with and this thing well out of his reach at this point, he's gonna see Nucky piling the other two into this boat with the other members like frantically trying to prepare it, and he's gonna make a break for it. Just gonna move and dash, which is 70 move for me.
Okay,
to get to the boat.
You can get to the boat. Skjalmod, death save.
1 fail.
Okay. Nucky.
Up falling from the water and push her into the boat as well, leaping up into it and calling out for Hudvig. I can't say it.
Roll Fitnessin.
Yes, to get his hairy arse into the boat.
Yeah, at this stage, like the rower is gone basically, and so we're out of initiative. You can like pile into the boat. The people still have their heads in the forehead, their foreheads on the dirt rather, and Luda is like poling as quickly as he can away from this hellish place, and like out through the gap.
In the meantime, her fitness is going to lean down. He's no witch, but he has some knowledge of wound-wise. He's going to try to make sure that first the Jarl and then Thorin are okay.
Yeah, with like no immediate danger, I think like it's mundane for you to like stabilize them. You'd like turn them over to their sides and make them like cough up the water that they had swallowed, and the lot of you like with Luda just like frantically, and also the trapper both with like a pole just like pushing as fast as they can through the water and out through that little gap between the bridge. You, Nucky, will like see one of many up there, his head on the ground or on the wooden bridge, basically. All of these people like still bowing in fear of that thing, and they and you start to pass away from them. So you pull your way back towards Skjalvik. It'll take a good bit of time, and you'll like rest probably, or maybe you wouldn't. Maybe you just keep going. I imagine you might just keep going until you get back to Skjalvik, like poling through the night, and then into the early morning the next day when you like arrive, and can like drag the badly injured Jarl and his warrior Huskarl back inside. And we'll just take a quick break there, I think, and we'll finish up after. I'm back.
I'm also back.
So that was a bit salty, but I don't know what was like to be expected. An actual god
that
thing
went.
that they worship.
Yeah, I was gonna say that went exactly as I expected it to. If anything, it went better than I expected it to.
Oh, you mean that no one actually died?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, the
exactly.
queen was murdered.
Yeah, but she's inconsequent. No, probably not. That's probably not going to bode well.
She was evil and possessed. She had to go.
And so much for bringing her to the troll to fix her, right? She's dead.
That was never my number one priority, to be fair.
This music is wigging me out, man. It's so intense.
I was just thinking the same thing. It's like doing weird stuff in the background. Like the noises and the occasional drum or something. I don't know. It's freaky. Jeff, did you drop again?
So I had when I was having issues earlier, I switched to my phone hotspot. And was doing that for a while, so I was just switching back while we were on break. Internet's back up again.
Okay. I was gonna say if you dropped again, we might have to up your tech curse to 1d6 times a game.
Yeah, that one was intentional. To get back on actual Wi-Fi.
Got to get yourself some better internet. Spend all this Kickstarter money buying Checkers computer and use some good internet.
There we go.
And one for Caius.
I mean, I sure wouldn't complain.
Yours is fine.
No, not about me. Be able to hear all these guys when they're talking every time.
So you'd awaken.
I know that.
Go ahead. You'd awaken maybe a day later. Skjalmod and Thorin in the Skjalmod in your fine bed, and like one has been made for Thorin as well. Like badly bruised, maybe a broken rib here or there, but whole at least.
I'll like groan with pain and then probably like roll over and retch and then like smell my wounds and recognize my surroundings and try and like suppress the waves of nausea and dizziness. I'll try and look to see if there's like a servant or healer or Jorlik or someone about.
Jorlik is sitting in a chair nearby, and he'll like look up when you raise your head. Lord.
I'll look about and see Thorin and give thanks to Odin, but then when I look about, can't see Frostfitnesen or Noki here, and I bow my head. How did I come to be here? The others, are they slain?
No, Lord, none. You all made it home.
How?
The Gothi says some creature attacked you, and that, well, they pulled out of there and brought you home.
We should have left sooner.
Jorlik sort of nods quietly at that and like scrapes something into the wax tablet.
Bring them, Jorlik, if you can.
Aye, Lord. And he'll like groan when he stands, and he'll like walk over to the door and tell a guard, and then like with a groan, he'll sit back down. It's a couple of minutes later. Nocky and Frothvitnison will be brought into your chambers.
No, you are awake. Good.
Thanks to you two, says Skjalmod. You've saved our lives. You honor me. You have my thanks.
And mine. It was good to wake up here rather than face down in bog mud.
You are both unharmed.
Yes. The creature, after it struck both of you down, saw no motive to go after us. It left immediately.
The Queen.
There was an opportunity. I took it.
Speak plain, Gothi.
She is dead.
Murdered in her own hall. That means war.
Profane. She had profane forces, and herself was profane. It was the god's will.
You were outside when the rower approached. When he did, something overtook her, the spirit the fen witch spoke of. There were two queens, one the slave and one the puppet, though now I guess there are none. Odin gave you the vision, our path to that place and that thing. Why?
It is not my place to know the motives of the gods, only what they show me. That is what they have shown me, and so I have acted.
Why did you not attack the thing?
There is more for you to do, and for us. We would be dead, all of us. What would your people do then?
The same as they will do now. Must be war. They will blame us for her death. Still enthralled by the rower.
She was a conduit to its power. Without her, they will have less control, less unity. It will take them time to sort themselves and become organized, if they manage to do so at all. Fact. One more would push boundaries until it was against our own. We would fight. At least now we can prepare.
Does Odin wish for us to wait here for them to come and ravage our lands, or to go and ravage theirs?
If you would wish it, I may attempt to read it in the runes, but be cautioned. When the runes answer, it is truth. You must abide by it. It is dangerous to ask questions of forces greater than yourself. But I will do it if you desire.
I do desire the truth. See to it, if there's anything you need, you have only to ask.
I already have everything. I will see it done.
My thanks. And he says that, like, not only for the pending ritual, but for saving Thorin and my life. Sherlock says, you hauled me and her from the waters, from death itself, Noki. You could have taken the golden torque from my neck and pulled yourself to a wealthy life in a land far away from here. Why?
Why is a very good question. No,
Deserves a good answer.
No, honestly, the best answer I can give you is I was not thinking. I simply acted.
Surely he's not a man without honor. What kind of a man would leave his lord and steal the torque from your neck?
There are people who speak ill of Noki and his previous kith in these parts. He's proven himself otherwise. How should I reward him, battle sister?
Have you a thane?
A place west of here, Felliger, they're in need of a thane.
He seems loyal.
Capable and brave.
Lord, it would require oaths, Shelrick says, sort of nervously.
That would be up to Noki.
Lord, you cannot give this man land and not have him swear to you.
I know. What say you, Noki? Will you swear an oath?
An oath for a piece of dirt. And a title.
Yes. Unless you prefer your current title.
I think I can swear to that.
I will hear it, and you will be Then, or Felliger, and Fenya with you.
It would be auspicious, Lord, to give thanks to the Aesir and to have a ritual, and there we can do the swearing.
Reach out to Kettle, have cattle brought, water cattle brought to be slaughtered and burnt in praise of the Aesir.
I will, Lord.
I'll be readied now, such as I can be. We must go and await Hrothvitnesson's words.
As you say. Hrothvitnesson, you've made your way into the swamp itself with your bag of runes, I guess. Somewhere quiet and private where you can read what's to come.
Yeah, he'll have found a place that's not quite fully wet, where he can stand on solid ground, and where there aren't quite so many trees. And he's going to begin like drawing runic markings in the mud, symbols natural made to Odin and to the gods, to kind of like prepare himself before taking his bag of runes, and attempting to read what he can from the will of Odin, whether they should attack or stay, and the results.
And so will you pull runes from the bag? Will you throw them into the dirt? Will you pull 1 or 3 or how many?
I don't actually know, like
Okay.
as Jeff, I don't know what the
Yep.
the difference would be.
So traditionally you would pull 3 from the bag and then like throw them onto the ground and like see which way they land and things like that to like determine what the gods mean.
Yeah, so he would do that then, kind of marking off this space where it's not quite so wet, where the runes can land on at least on something more solid, not slip into the mud beneath and be lost. But he would pull 3, casting them.
Okay, can you give me a seathwise?
Mm-hmm. Ooh, that is a 19 on the die, which is 18 total.
Okay, so you pull 3 runes as you like pray to the Allfather. And you hold them in your fist, and you'll begin to like hop from one foot to the other, sort of like you do when you get into your berserk trance, and then you'll like throw them, cast them down, and they will land in the muck. The first is Kenaz, or torch. It means fire, it means wisdom, it means enlightenment, and it means pain. And as you like see that in the ground before you, you look to the next. It is. I've lost my page here. I actually drew my own runes for this to see what would happen. There we go. It is thorn, Tarissas, pain, hindrance, and difficulties. And that will like strike in your mind. And then the third is Algis, which is like death, life, protection, but also the Aesir overall. You like see these 3 runes before you arrayed in the dirt.
Yeah, after the first one, he would kind of be nodding, and then seeing the second one, would frown. But then the third one, the rune of the Aesir, would bring across a smile. And he would lean down, pick up the runes back from the mud, and stop for a moment to kind of consider everything. And he would then head back to speak with Skjalmod.
So recovering in your chambers, Skjalmod, you sit and Sherlock will like return and he'll like give you this list of like things that have been happening. Like the Fenway is underway, and he would suggest that you start to build like halfway houses and like along the way so that people can stop. Yeah, exactly, guard posts and stuff. And then he would tell you that there's enough stone sent by Flokisson to like build a pretty significant building. He would say the best thing that we could do with that stone is to build walls, or to build like a finer hole for you, and also to like dig a proper stone well somewhere here in town as well. There maybe other people have other ideas what you could do with that stone.
I was
And yet-
thinking of giving it to Ulfric in and on a gift for alliance, or maybe bride price if I can. But when you said well, that perked my interest, like having water source that we can control. Be handy. Though I guess it's pretty like wet here. Though I guess a lot of
Yeah.
spoiled and stagnant water too.
There is a stream of like clear water that runs near the village.
Mm-hmm. Well, the stone's not going anywhere, so we don't like have to do something with it immediately. For now, I think the priority for the stone would be to repair anything in the holdfast itself that needs fixing. And as rather than building new walls, I'd rather build on existing stuff because at least the ground is proven, whereas like virgin ground isn't. So I'd say that to Churlick, I think, and groan as I finish putting my last vestment on. I see Thorin across the hall, giving a waiting look, and I'll quickly answer the rest of Churlick's points, unless there's anything of import or urgency. My thanks, and then I'll dismiss him and go walk up to Thorin. What is it?
You have changed much, Skjalmod, but some is still the same. You act before you think. You are not in the spirit and you are not in the shield while you are a Jarl. You have people who depend on you. What were you thinking, putting yourself in such danger?
I felt it the right thing to do to vanquish the threat at hand, the cause of the issue. I thought we could overwhelm it. And end the thing there. I thought, dispossessed of the malign spirit, the Queen might come to reason and avoid war.
These things are strange to me. But even I know you cannot face a maligned spirit, as you call it, with force. And your wolf, you must keep it on a tighter leash, Skjalmod. It has started a war when you intended to have peace.
It was my decision to command him to come.
Was it also your decision to have the woman butchered in her hall?
I was cut down and could give no order thence. But the way he's saying it is like a little telling, to different to the words.
Things are different. You are different. You must act different. You are not young. You cannot rush headlong into such things.
You were right. No spearman any longer.
If you would have me, I would swear my oath to you and serve you. Maybe give you a good kick in the pants if you need it.
I would welcome the council, he says. Should sit alongside Noki and Hrothfitnesen and help me rule this place.
I am no ruler.
Well, you have wise counsel.
No, I just know the rash actions of a man who acts before thinking when I see them.
Yet you followed me at the rower.
Of course I did. We spent those years serving together, how could I not?
If the Aesir and we with weapons cannot best the rower, then how can it be done?
Your wolf will come. He seems to have the ear of the gods. Or they his. Perhaps he will know. But you cannot engage it with sword, with spear, with your bare hands.
He gives like a chided look, and then probably hears a call from one of the guards that the wolf approaches.
I will be with you.
Yeah, with that, I imagine Hrothwitnison would enter. I've done as you asked. The will of the gods has been sought, cast in the stones, become truth and power. The words of Odin painted upon this world. I received 3 signs in accordance with traditions. 3 runes cast, 3 runes read. The first one, Kanaz, means pain, but also wisdom. A struggle, but with a sign of gain to be had if you seek it out. The second, Tharizaz, a dangerous rune. Struggle, suffering, and pain. The journey will not be easy. The losses will not be small. But the final one, Algiz, the rune of the Aesir themselves, will look over this quest and see our holy mission to rid this place of spirits. Will watch over us.
Fire and pain while the gods watch on. But success. Does that mean we should attack?
And you can see like Hrothwitnison kind of like pondering, like it is a rare thing for clear course to be given, even by the gods, even by the runes. But those things read will be. They cannot be otherwise. Whichever you choose to attack, to defend, to move, or to stay, those will be the results. It's been said by Odin's mouth itself. Struggle, pain, but wisdom and the gods. It's like being intentionally, like not necessarily intentionally, but just like you keep asking for like a direct answer, and he just keeps saying like all this, like, and it's clear that that's basically what he's gonna say.
Well, if there is to be pain, let it be in their lands. Ready the forces. We will attack.
And so it said, preparations are made first for the blot and the sacrifice. now for many reasons to swear in the Thane, but also to give thanks to the Aesir, and also to wish for fortune in the battle to come against the fenfolk. So preparations are made. Roth Fitness, will you mention the stone you found? The big Odin stone? I might have lost Jeff. Shelrick will report that like he's purchased the requisite number of like cattle and things from what was his name? Kenrick. And like preparations are being made for the blot. I was asking because I wondered if you wanted to do the blot by the Odin stone or like in the village, but I don't know if he had said it to you or not that there is an Odin stone.
If it's like practical, like if it's not a sojourn away, we should definitely do it at the Odin stone, given that we're going off like runes cast, like under the Aesir.
Yeah.
All right, am I back?
Yep.
Yep.
All right. It was weird. I could hear you guys still, but like my audio wasn't coming through to you guys. Yeah. So you asked if I would have told them. I think like having the especially having the witch make mention that she knew it was there, that Hroth Bitnison would bring it up, mostly as like that's something that we should defend and make sure that it's not like taken or raised by them. But he would leave that up to the Jarl, but he would mention it.
Should we have the blot there instead of inside of Skjalvik?
Would I know like how far it was away? Like, would it be reasonable to take everybody there and all the supplies and all the things? Like, he would want to do it if it was even like remotely possible.
Yeah, so I think like trying to retrace your steps, maybe you did that while like the Jarl was recovering. You would find it's not nearly as far as it seemed. Like, and you could find your way there in 2 hours. Though you obviously would have taken either a circuitous route or everything like time was dilated during your journey, but it's not as far as you think or as you thought.
Yeah, finding that out, he would definitely recommend. Such a holy site would surely bring greater fortune in his eyes.
It's only so long because it's kind of like difficult path. If you were to build like a fenway from here to there, you think it would be less than an hour.
I'll leave Skander and a dozen of like the mailed warriors to protect Skjalvik while we go off to do the blot. And they can organize to go with Hroth Bitnison to do another ritual the same at like an alternative time.
Yep. And so preparations are made, people are gathered, and there's like a great convoy of people who like move through the fens, led by Hroth Bitnison towards the Odin stone. It's huge and impressive. There's like glittering gold there and precious stones in the actual stone itself. It's like insane carving of Odin, of like incredible detail. And everyone gets ready for the blot, and like the music begins. We're probably going to end it there, and we'll do the blot at the start of next session. So thanks very much, guys, for playing, and thanks if you watched. See you next time.